Hello, welcome to Thursday. Thirsty Thursday is here. It's a little early. It's normally closer to 7 p.m., but I am jumping in to a mentoring space to facilitate at 7:30 tonight. So here I am. So hopefully the connection stays okay. Just got a little notification. So, Thirsty Thursdays, for those of you who are new to this community, is my weekly show up live in the group for 5 to 10 minutes to just go into a conversation around something to do with pleasure and intimacy and female anatomy. So, the anatomy of something has just flashed for vulva owners to learn a little bit more about their anatomy. In my experience as a professional in the sexological bodywork space, there is a lot of women 35 and over who are only just really understanding the importance of prioritizing the awareness of their body and their pleasure. And so this is a safe place to land for your curiosity. Tonight, I wanted to chat to you about the relationship between your clitoris and your wetness or your self-lubrication. So this is something that is taught in my Anatomy of Pleasure workshop. So I do have an online one coming up. It's a 2-hour content-heavy, blow your mind anatomy lesson that we look at the physical anatomy, the pleasure anatomy, the energetic anatomy, and the intuitive anatomy, and how all 4 layers of anatomy come together to form your sensuality. So your sensual and your embodied consent, your ability to truly know how to say yes or no in each and every moment, because it's coming from a deeper understanding of self. I also teach that libido is the language of embodied consent. It has the words I do in it. So quite often we say, got no libido, my sex drive is down, I just don't get turned on anymore, right? Maybe, not in all cases, but maybe the part that needs the focus is self, building your relationship with your sensuality, your sense, your awe, fully knowing yourself, so that you are actually saying yeses into the things that truly are an embodied yes. I do desire this, rather than showing up maybe in performance or in response to somebody else's desires. Tonight, I wanted to talk to you about the clitoris. So the clitoris, most people are aware of the clitoral gland, which is, for want of a better word, like a P shape at the top of the labia that sits underneath the clitoral hood. Has all these nerve endings in it that can feel anything from intense pleasure to intense discomfort. We all have a different relationship with how that nerve sensitivity feels in our body. And so while it's often talked about as stimulation until orgasm, not everyone experiences that, because it is a highly sensitive area, and the full spectrum of pleasure to discomfort, it varies for everyone. The glans clitoris during arousal, actually the clitoral hood that encases it swells. And so if you've felt your clitoris engorging during arousal, it swells, and so does your clitoral hood to protect it, because as it's swelling, pardon me, I have just scoffed dinner because I'm online for the next few hours, so it's pardon me for burping. So your glans clitoris is protected by your clitoral hood. The nerve endings are protected there so that you can take friction and pressure, and it should hopefully feel more pleasurable than it does uncomfortable. But everybody needs to go on the journey of exploring where on that spectrum they currently sit. And as they move through different seasons in life, maybe that changes. So constantly self-noticing, self-exploring, self-gathering knowledge. So the full clitoris, so that little bit at the top is just part of it. The full clitoris actually, so if you imagine that the top of this little pyramid would be where the glands, so up in here, would be where the glans clitoris sits. The whole thing is actually this wishbone shape. So these two arms, for want of a better word, of the clitoris come down and run beneath the labia. So the full clitoris is this wishbone shape. So we've got the clitoral hood, the clitoral gland and the clitoral hood at the top, and then these two clitoral arms that run down the labia either side. Now these arms, where the nails are here, represents the end of the clitoris. They sit atop the vestibules. The vestibules are these squishy glands that sit beneath the clitoris and alongside. So down here, I should have had my stand. So if we can imagine that at the base of this, that's where the vaginal opening is. So the vestibules that sit beneath the ends of these clitoral arms, they swell as well. So as the clitoris is getting aroused and engorged, it swells and it puts pressure on the vestibules, which are filling with fluid, arousal fluid. And then the pressure of the clitoris as it is becoming aroused and it's engorging, pressing and stimulating on the vestibules. The vestibules are then getting the message to release the lubrication. Stored it again. Sorry. So that we can have lubrication at the entrance of our vagina. So just to say that again, up the top is the clitoris, or the clitoral glans clitoral, which we're all familiar with. But the full clitoris actually runs down like a wishbone shape at the base of these clitoral arms. This sits atop vestibules, which fill with yummy fluid. And as the clitoris is getting aroused and engorged, it's going to create more space, press on these vestibules, which are going to excrete a lubrication. And so that's how we experience lubrication. For some people, it's very quick. For some people, it takes time. There is no wrong. There's no need to call it anything other than what you know about yourself and how you empower other people to know that about you, right? Because a man's arousal is very different to a woman's arousal. Their time frame could be very different to your time frame, or it could be similar. So you don't only go on the journey of noticing, well, how does arousal move through my body, but you also go, how does arousal move through the dynamic of the intimacy, the exchange, right? It's not just your problem or your thing to do. It is a shared experience. It is in an intimate exchange with a lover. It is an us thing. So if you have that awareness, just from the relationship of the full clitoris with the clitoral arms, that when they are aroused and engorged, they're going to press on the vestibules, which is going to support a message to the body to excrete fluid into the vaginal opening. There are other factors at play, age, hormones, like there are other things in play. This is just some basic stuff. And the reason why I want to share the basic stuff is if during foreplay, whether it's you doing foreplay for yourself before you move on to penetrative self-exploration, or it's before a partner, a lover is engaging in penetrative play with you, whether it's with their penis or whether it's with toys. We are taught early on through porn that you just stimulate the clitoris at the top. And, if you give that a good rub, then that should turn the vagina owner on, right? But we now know that the clitoris is this full wishbone shape that the clitoral arms run down along, like underneath the length of the labia. So how can you self-explore the labia stimulation as well, knowing that the labia traces the clitoris, the full wishbone shape of the clitoris? So pulling, rubbing between the inner and the outer labia, right? Noticing as arousal builds, can you even feel the clitoral arms engorging? Not everyone can, but it is possible. So don't just stimulate the glans clitoris, which is the little bit at the top that we all know about that has all these nerve endings. Go on the journey of tracing the clitoral arms beneath the labia and noticing, is the left side more sensitive than the right side? Is the right side more enjoyable than the left side? Do you feel something? Do you feel nothing? Do you feel it in certain stages? Do you feel it all the way down? Only you need the information and benefit from the information. So go on the curious journey of not just touching the glans clitoris at the top, but tracing full awareness, mapping the full clitoral arms down to the vestibules which sit either side of the vaginal opening, and just see, what does that do for your arousal? What does that do for your turn on? How is your body responding? If there has been a shift in your lubrication, does this put the pendulum in the other direction? Just notice and get curious. We are at a point in our society where we judge ourselves, shame ourselves, blame ourselves, and then decide that the remedy is to medicate ourselves, punish ourselves, make it an us problem when make it a me problem when maybe it's a shared us problem in the relationship. We don't honor that as women we're cyclical, and that in addition to the anatomy, at different stages in our menstrual cycle, we're going to experience arousal and desire and turn on in different ways. We not only are cyclical in our menstrual cycle, but we're also cyclical in our feminine archetypes: maiden, mother, magna, crone. So which season are you in? And within that season, which part of your cycle are you in, right? And then alongside that, how are the spaces, places, and situations that operate around you, holding you and honoring you? That all feeds into your turn on. That all feeds into your arousal. That all feeds into your sex drive and your libido. Pleasure is life, right? It's not just something we do behind closed doors with a partner. So I'm hoping that every Thursday you get to drop into this space, this Thirsty Thursday space, and you just have another little bit land in your world of, oh, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, that's a new approach. Or that's completely blown my mind. Like, whatever. Keep coming every Thursday for these conversations. We will have some juicy conversations. If you've got questions, if you want to inbox me a specific thing going on in your world, let's have the conversation. I show up constantly in order to support you self-educating yourself about you. Because when you know you, then you can start to cast the ripple effects out to others. You give permission to others to know themselves. You advocate more for your pleasure, and you advocate for other people to find the space in their world to claim their pleasure. I can't do it on my own, so let's do it for ourselves and then take our friends and loved ones along the journey as well. If you want to learn more specifically about your pleasure anatomy, then I will pop in the comments below a link to my next Anatomy of Pleasure workshop. The in-person one has been and gone, but the next one is actually going to be online, which means it also comes with a recording, which is great if you love to drop into content, but also be able to kind of take it in bite-sized pieces. So you will get access to a recording for 30 days if you want to get involved in the online Anatomy of Pleasure workshop. That's my introductory sensuality and pleasure workshop. If you want to come and journey more with me, that's a really good place to start. And then we can move into the art of arousal. We can look at couples dynamics. If you come along to any of my future retreats, you'll come ready to keep moving forward rather than coming in and almost maybe feeling overwhelmed. So starting at the Anatomy of Pleasure workshops is a really good place to start. I'll pop the link for that below. If you've enjoyed this chat, if it's If it's whet your appetite for curiosity, let me know. I show up in response to how much you're getting out of these experiences. So don't forget to let me know if it's a yay, if it's a, oh, that was a little bit confronting, but thank you anyway. Let me know. Let's keep the conversation flowing. Have an amazing Thursday evening and weekend ahead. And I will see you guys again right here around 7 o'clock next Thursday for the next Thirsty Thursday edition. Good night, everybody.